today's video, we're going to be solving equations using a method where we do the opposite when we cross the equality sign. Okay? Now, before we dive straight into this, I made a previous video on the other method that exists, which is called the same to both sides method, where basically we do the same to both sides of the equality. Okay? So if you prefer that one, you might want to go check out that video. Otherwise, you can stay for this one and look at how this method works, and then you can decide which method you prefer. Okay. So for this method, we do the opposite when we cross the equality sign. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that a positive becomes negative when you put it on the other side. Okay. Equally, a negative becomes a positive when you cross it on the other side of the equality. Then, a bit more complicated is a multiplication becomes a division on the other side. Okay? And equally, a division becomes a multiplication on the other side. Okay. Now, there are some more complicated ones, but for this video, we're going to stick to these, as this is an introduction to solving equations. Okay? Right. So let's look at this equation. This equation reads 5x plus 4 equals 8x minus 5. Okay? So the basic idea of solving equations is the same. Okay? So we need to keep rearranging until we end up with x is equal to a number. Okay? So first, as you can see, we need to look at the types of terms we have. So we have x terms and we have number terms. Okay? So we want to have the x terms on one side and then the number terms on the other side. Okay? And preferably, we would like those numbers, once we rearrange them, to be positive on each side. Okay? Okay. So looking at the equation, I think we're going to be putting the x terms on the right hand side and then the number terms on the left hand side. Okay? Now don't worry if you still don't know how to spot this, but for now just trust me on this one. Okay, so let's start with the number terms. So we want to put this minus 5 on the other side, on the left hand side. Okay? Now remember, we said that a minus becomes a positive. Okay? Minus becomes positive. So this means that the minus 5, when we put it on the other side, is going to become plus 5. Okay? So therefore, we can rewrite this as 5x plus 4 plus 5 equals to 8x. Okay? Now we can simplify this. We have 5x plus 4 plus 5 is equal to plus 9 equals to 8x. Right, now we're not done yet. Then we want the x's on the right hand side. Okay? So this 5x is of course positive. Right? If it doesn't say anything, it means it's positive. So we want to put this on the other side. So a positive, as we said before, becomes negative. So then we have 9 is equal to 8x, and then positive 5x becomes negative 5x. Okay. And then we keep simplifying. So 9 is equal to 8x minus 5x is equal to 3x. And now we have this. We have 9 is equal to 3x. So in other words, 3 times x. Okay. Now remember, the aim here is to get x equals a number. So we want x by itself. Okay. So in this case, we want to get rid of the 3 that's in front of the x. Now because this is multiplying, because the 3 is multiplying the x, remember we said that a multiplication becomes a division on the other side. Okay. So therefore, what we do is we put the 3 on the other side and it becomes divided. So what we get is 9 divided by 3 is equal to x. Okay? And then we can simplify. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So then we can say that x is equal to 3. Okay? Excellent. Now what about this example? This equation reads 4, open brackets, y plus 3, close brackets, is equal to 3y plus 16. Now, one of the basic rules is that whenever you're confronted with a single bracket, or a double bracket, or any type of bracket, you first need to multiply it out, okay, before we rearrange. So, we need to expand this bracket, this single bracket. So the 4 is going to be timesing each term inside the bracket. So we have 4y plus 12. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, and then again, we do the same, right? We want the y is equal to a number. So in this case, right, I think we're going to have the y's on the left-hand side and the numbers on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's start with the y's. We want this 3y, so in other words, positive 3y on the other side. So that becomes, so we have 4y, and the positives becomes negative, right? So 4y minus 3y. And then plus 12 equals 16. 4y minus 3y is simply y. So we have y plus 12 is equal to 16. Right, and then we want to put this 12 on the other side. So plus 12 becomes negative on the other side, right? So we have y is equal to 16 minus 12. And then 16 minus 12 is simply 4. Excellent. Okay, so the main thing to remember here is when confronted with brackets, you need to expand them first. Okay. Right, what about this one? This one reads y plus 2 divided by 3 is equal to 3y plus 5. So here we have a fraction, okay? Now fractions make everything a bit more complicated. So what we need to do before doing anything else is we need to get rid of the fraction, okay? In other words, we need to get rid of this 3 here. Now remember, we said that multiplications became divisions on the other side, and equally we said divisions became multiplications. Therefore, this 3 is a division, right? It's being divided. So when we put it on the other side, it's going to become a multiplication. So we can rewrite this as y plus 2, and then the 3 is going to be multiplying the other side, all of it, okay? So 3, open brackets, 3y plus 5, okay? And that's how you get rid of the fraction. Right, now, just like before, we need to expand this bracket. So we multiply the 3 by each term inside the bracket. And so we get y plus 2 is equal to 3 times 3 is 9, so 9y. And 3 times 5 is 15, plus 15. Excellent. Now again, here we have to put the y's on one side and the numbers on the other side. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to put the y's on the right hand side and the numbers on the left hand side. Okay, now I don't know if you can see this, but both will be negative when we put them on the other side. Okay, sorry, one of them will have to be negative. So when one side has to be negative, or one type of term has to be negative, we always prefer number terms. Okay, but this is just a side note. Right, so we want to put the y's on the right hand side. So this plus y is going to become negative, right? So we have 2 is equal to 9y minus y, and then plus 15. So this is equal to 2 is equal to 9 minus 1 is equal to 8y plus 15. Alright, and then we want to put this plus 15 on the other side. So plus becomes negative. So we get 2 minus 15 is equal to 8y. 2 minus 15 is minus 13 equals to 8y. And again, we want the y by itself is equal to a number. So we need to get rid of this 8. Now again, this 8 is multiplying the y. So multiplication becomes division. So then we get minus 13 over 8 is equal to y. And we keep it like that because we can't simplify further. Okay? Excellent. Right, and finally we have this example. In this case, we have fractions on both sides. Okay, so now it's getting tricky. Although it's getting trickier, the fundamentals remain the same, right? So we still need to get rid of the fractions. And the way we do that, like we said, is by transforming them into multiplications, right? Multiplication, let's just write this down again, becomes division. Division becomes multiplication. So here we have a 4 divided, and here we have a 2 divided. So these divisions are going to become multiplications when we put them on the other side, okay? And particularly, they're going to be multiplying the entire side, remember, okay? So in this case, the 2 is going to be multiplying the left-hand side, and the 4 is going to be multiplying the right-hand side. So we can rewrite this as 2, open brackets, 4x plus 7 equals to 4, open brackets, 3x plus 10. Okay? Right. And now we need to expand the brackets, right? So we need to multiply each number in front of the brackets by each term inside the brackets. So this becomes 2 times 4x is 8x, 2 times 7 plus 14, and then we have 12x plus 40. Right. Again, we're going to want the x's on the right hand side and the numbers on the left hand side. So here I'm going to skip a step. Okay, so I'm going to do both terms at once. So we want the plus 8x on the other side, so plus becomes negative, right? And then the plus 40 becomes negative on the other side. So we have 14 minus 40 equals, and then 12x stays the same, and plus 8x becomes negative, so minus 8x. Excellent. And now we simplify. Minus 40 plus 14, or plus 14 minus 40, is equal to minus 26, and then equals to 12x minus 8x is 4x. Again, the 4 is multiplying the x, so multiplications become division. So then we get minus 26 over 4 is equal to x. Okay? Now we could simplify this further. We could simplify this fraction further. And we could divide it by we could divide it by 2. Okay? So this would become minus 13 over 2. Okay? Equals to x. So that'll be it for this video. Let me know how you found this method, whether you prefer this method or the other method where we do same to both sides. And if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments.